Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo News Report for Tuesday, July 21st, 2015. I'm your host, Alexander Kalafi, and we are having a very special early episode this week because I'm going on vacation tomorrow, and I wanted to make sure there was going to be some episode this week. We'll probably get back to Thursday shows eventually, I hope so. This show's best when it's on a schedule. Anyways, my crew for this week, my crew for most weeks, Donald Terrio.
Hey, if Giant Bomb can come out on Monday night, I'm sure we can do something on Tuesday.
Everyone's putting out their podcasts early this week, and I'm so happy. And we're also joined by Zach Miller. How are you?
I'm good, man. Where are you going on vacation?
I am going to Newport tomorrow.
Hey.
My cousin has a place out there, so I'm going to enjoy the weekend out there. I think there's a folk festival happening. I don't know if I'm going to get involved.
Yeah, that's kind of where Bob Dylan dropped the electric guitar and supposedly changed music forever, according to my wife.
Wow. Okay.
Ask Johnny more about that. He's a big Dylan fan as well.
He's a very big Dylan fan.
Yeah.
As I do know. Anyways, this week's top story, Devil's Third is being published by Nintendo of America.
Begrudgingly,
but also in full force. So check this out. Devil's Third is coming to North America by Nintendo of America, and not only that, but it's getting a retail release in North America with no current distinction as to publishers or limited copies or anything. It's coming out on eShop, and Valhalla Games, the developer of Devil's Third, is releasing a PC version of this game, which is not only a PC version, but is free to start, and that it just includes the multiplayer mode, and that I'm guessing there's going to be some kind of microtransactions. And then the Wii U version is going to be the full multiplayer mode and full single-player mode. Wow. Okay. And then this is all happening in Q4, which means between October 1st and the end of the year, unless they're talking about fiscal quarter 4, which could be before March 31st.
Yeah, but in this one, they specifically said that it was going to be calendar Q4, so sometime after October 1st. I just hope this doesn't delay Fatal Frame 5, because that actually has the potential to not suck you-know-what through a straw.
Yeah.
If you've read Don's hands-on preview of the single-player, yeah.
It's maybe not great.
That's putting it mildly.
I mean, it sounds like less of a disaster than the rumors made it out to believe. I think based on what I read of Don's review, it sounds less 3 out of 10 and more 5 out of 10. By the way, I have not read any reviews if he's done one. I don't think he's done one. If that ends up being the score, that is a completely unintentional guess, just throwing that out there. But I'm guessing it's closer to 5 out of 10 and not as close to 3 out of 10.
Well, you sold me, all right? Those extra 2 points, that's all I needed to hear.
Well, the reviews for this game, you're not going to start seeing until probably the end of August anyway, because that's when it comes out in Europe. But, I really wonder if Nintendo is actually going to get full force behind this game, or if we're going to have a print run that's going to make Fire Emblem Amiibo look common.
No. It's not going to. They're not going to put their full force behind this game. In fact, I would be surprised if they put even half force behind this game. I think you remember what's it called? That other Fatal Frame game that came out on 3DS, the bad game.
It was okay. It just wasn't good.
Right, which sounds like what Devil's Third is. So hopefully, or not hopefully, but how I see this playing out is they put this game out at full price or some approximation of it. They do an okay print run, but not that impressive. But it doesn't matter anyways, because 6 months from the release date, you're going to see copies for $15.99 on Amazon.
Yeah, it'll be on the Amazon end cap.
Yeah. That's how I see it playing out, at least.
If Amazon even gets the game. A lot of retailers just aren't stocking Wii U up here anymore. Best Buy has 8 games, maybe.
That's kind of wild to me because, I mean, in GameStop it's not great, but they're still relatively full Vita and Wii U things, and like even Best Buy, even their Best Buy near me is fully stocking Wii U games. They're
Nice.
giving it like a full section to itself. I mean, it still gets the same Nintendo ghetto that every single Best Buy video game section
Yeah.
gets. Like it's not with the real big boy games, but it's the Wii U still getting a full section. I'm really surprised you're saying that. How's it for you, Donald?
It's pretty well stocked. I mean, there's two EVs within walking distance, and they all have full Wii U 3DS sections. The Vita section is badly shrinking, although
Oh
frankly, most
yeah.
of the stuff that comes out of Vita retail now is kind of the thing you'd kind of want to put to the side anyway.
We
Not that
basically don't have a Vita section. I went into Best Buy. Actually, Target has maybe two games. One of them is The Walking Dead, Season 1, which tells you a little bit about how they stock it.
Yep.
But at Best Buy, they have like MLB The Show from last year, and the most recent Hyperdimension Neptunia game that I didn't know got a physical release. So awesome, guys.
But
Yeah.
hey, but the Vita's getting its big games. Like it just got had a full boyfriend today.
Yeah.
You know, the Vita's gonna be. As a Vita owner, there are 2 or 3 games this year that I want to play. They got Earth Defense Force, they got Persona Dancing All Night, and they got Danganronpa. If those are the last like 3 Vita games I play, or even if Virtue's Last Reward is the last Virtue's Last Reward 2,
That's
Zero
gonna be
Escape
it.
3, that's probably the last Vita game I play. I'll be okay. I've come to peace with the Vita's destruction. So, oh man. Okay. So that's Devil's Third. It, led to a Vita discussion and a Spirit Camera discussion, just to say how much hope there is in this game. Let's talk about another Wii U disaster that did get canceled. Project Cars Wii U finally got canceled. I don't
Saw
know.
this coming. Saw this coming a mile away.
I don't even know when it became news. I thought this was the assumption. It's kind of like how the Xbox was like $350 temporarily for 6 months.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, this was pretty much. We knew there was trouble just before E3 when they were saying, you know, we can't get to 720p without running it at about the bottom of what would be considered an acceptable frame rate, and they were waiting for. And I remember the excuse was we're waiting for new hardware from Nintendo at E3, and obviously they didn't get it. So at that point, you kind of just assumed, yeah, they're going to take this out back and shoot it. But I wonder how many people actually took part in the crowdfunding campaign for this, based on the promises of a Wii U game, because they seem to be promising it pretty heavily, and now they seem to be waiting for a console that's probably 2 years out, just in time for the sequel.
Yeah. I think this game could definitely use a sequel. I actually played a little bit of this game because I got it part of an Amazon price error for $3.99 or $2.99.
Oh, they actually honored that?
The thing is, they gave you a code, and if they didn't honor it or they stopped using the codes, I redeemed my code as soon as I bought it, so I now have a digital copy of Project Cars for like $3-4. It's an okay game. It's if you like arcade racers, like I would put Forza as like the most realistic. If that's your realistic limit, your limit of realism for driving games, don't get this. This is like more simulatory and less bells and whistly than Gran Turismo. I would say and in fact, I don't know if this is a fact. I didn't do the journalism research. I played it for like 20 minutes. But if it's any indication, I'm pretty sure you can only play in cockpit mode in this game. So it's one of those kinds of driving games. I hope there's a way to play it in third person. I hope I find that. But as soon as I realized that it had those super wide, heavy Gran Turismo physics, and it also had, like, it was just purely cockpit, or at least that was the major focus, I was glad I had only spent $4 on it. I think this is going to be a PlayStation Plus game about November next year.
Mm.
That's what it feels like. Anyways, hopefully the Wii U owners or the Wii U lovers who helped crowdfund this game are going to get something good eventually.
I would hope so.
This is kind of a bummer. It's almost a bummer just for the fans because the actual development team have been kind of dicks about this.
Yeah, they've kind of been stringing us along, haven't they?
Yeah. Yes, they
Well,
have.
it might happen, guys. You can't hold on. We're trying to make it work. Really are.
Well, but Donald, if I remember correctly, weren't they straight up shitting on Nintendo at a certain point?
They not that I recall recently. I mean, they probably had something going on in the early days of the project that could be construed that way. But I will admit I've only really started paying attention to this game once it became a thing on PS4 and Xbox One.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll see how it goes. Maybe I misspoke. Maybe I owe slightly bad an apology. But either way, Project Cars not coming to Wii U. Devil's Third is. Congratulations. Or sorry. And then, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Please look forward to it.
Yeah.
Please understand.
Please understand.
I wasn't going to say it, guys.
Someone had to. Anyways,
Here.
new releases.
I wasn't on the last episode. Thank you, Mr. Iwata.
Thank you, Mr. Iwata. Well, we'll be going into that in a little while.
I don't have bananas.
That's okay. I'm sure it'd still appreciate the gesture. Anyways, new releases / eShop stuff. We got a large sale on some very big games from Ubisoft. I think they did this last year. They got this Super Summer Sale in which Wii U and 3DS games are on sale this year through August 3rd. On Wii U, some of the highlights, Zombie U is $14.99 in the USA. Donald, do you guys get this too?
Yeah, and actually all the prices are identical.
Okay, the prices are done.
Yeah, Ubisoft hasn't hit the Screw Canada button yet.
Okay, so Zombie U $14.99, Rayman Legends $20, Assassin's Creed 3 and 4 $14.99. I think 4 is a really excellent game. I really recommend that. Cloudberry Kingdom $250. That's a great deal.
Child of Light $375.
I might jump on that, even though people seem to be annoyed by it.
Marvel Avengers Battle for Earth $749. Don't get that. And then on 3DS, Tetris Ultimate's $22.49. That's too much.
Yep.
Rayman Origins / Rayman 3D $750. Ghost Recon Shadow Wars $750. I might buy that one day in a drunken stupor. We'll see. Splinter Cell 3D $749.
Nope.
Rabbids Travel in Time 3D $749, and then a bunch of Pets and Pop Tropica games. Oh,
that Pop Tropica game is like $22.
$22.49, Zach.
Play that shit online for free.
Pets Countryside is $22.49.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Pets Beach is $22.49. If you want to dip your toe in the Pets franchise, Pets Fantasy 3D is $749.
I think they're giving the deep cuts to the wrong games.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what? Go ahead.
Well, Ghost Recon apparently was if not the best 3DS launch title, it's one of the best. So I'd say it's $750. If you haven't jumped on it yet, you probably should get on that.
Yeah. It seems very XCOM like that very turn-based strategy. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. Maybe I'll have something to report next week. Anyways, also out this week, 3D Streets of Rage 2, the one I've been waiting for, Dragon Fantasy, and Binding of Isaac Rebirth. The 3D Streets of Rage 2 is coming to 3DS. Dragon Fantasy, Donald, is that Wii U and 3DS?
That is Wii U and 3DS, and it's cross-buy.
And cross-buy. There you go.
As it was on the PlayStation platforms.
Binding of Isaac is new 3DS exclusive. Well, and Wii U. That's not cross-buy, right?
Right. Given Nicholas's recent history with Nintendo platforms, I don't think anybody should be surprised by that. I'm thinking of the 1001 Spikes debacle more specifically on that.
I think the word you're looking for is disaster.
Or shit show, one of the two.
And then last but not least, a game that came out today that I actually got a chance to play. Not on Nintendo systems, but definitely of interest to Nintendo fans. Tembo the Badass Elephant, or as I like to call it, Pokemonkey Kong Country.
God. Get off the show.
You know what? I thought of that 10 minutes before. I'm still so proud of it. Jesus. I'm still so proud of it. I'm even going to send out a tweet after the show saying Pokemonkey Kong Country. We'll see if anyone picks it up. It's going to be great, guys. Tembo the Badass Elephant.
Is it straight ahead?
Huh?
Is it straight ahead? Do you not get that? Nobody gets that.
This game not coming out on the Wii U proves we're in the darkest timeline.
There you go, Donald. All right, good.
Okay. Tembo the Badass Elephant, developed by Game Freak of the Pokemon franchise.
They do things other than Pokemon?
Yes, they did Harmonite a couple years back. They did Solitaire or Solitiba, though that never came to North America on 3DS or iOS, which is where that released. And then they also did Drill Dozer. They also did Pulseman. It's
called Drill Dozer.
Right? It's called Pulseman?
Yeah, Pulseman.
Yeah, I need to play that eventually. Anyways, Tembo the Badass Elephant is exactly what it looks like from the trailers based on the tutorial and 2 levels I've played so far, and that it's pretty much a full platforming game if it was like the Rambi sections from Donkey Kong Country, but expanded so that it also has some of the mobility and finesse of the Donkey Kong Country Returns games. So it has a bit of a bounce to it, but most of the mechanics are charging at things and jumping at things and rolling at things and stampeding at things. It's a cute game. It's a lot like, it is literally Rambo, but with an elephant.
Now, are most of the levels forced scrolling, and if you die, you have to start over?
No forced scrolling. Just straight up Donkey Kong Country. It's heavy on the collectibles too. Every single level, it tracks like how many points you get from beating the enemy. So like you get a certain completion for defeating all the enemies in the level, and then there are also like 10 people you have to save in the city. And one of the other mechanics I like is that it also has the Yoshi's Island flutter jump that Yoshi has.
Nice.
It's kind of an unusual choice for this kind of like floaty character, but I think it works really well. It feels really good. It feels like Rambi, but like I said, a slightly more mobile Rambi.
Yeah.
And the music sounds exactly like it came out of a modern Pokemon game, which is real enjoyable. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the team who was designing the music for this game also worked on X and Y.
Huh.
It's real cool. Donald, you only have a PC, and your PC can't necessarily run it yet. Zach, go ahead.
I'm just saying, I haven't checked to see if my PC can run it, but even then, this is the kind of thing I'd want to play with a controller, and I don't really have a controller that can hook up to the PC right now as it is.
Sure. Yeah, well, hopefully this comes to Wii U eventually. I mean, Sega's publishing it. Sega will probably... I wouldn't be surprised if Sega did a Wii U port eventually, especially since this is the kind of game that Nintendo fans should eat up. I mean, I ate it up. I'm a Nintendo fan. Yeah. The very surreal thing about this game is that because Game Freak, a developer so closely associated with Nintendo, made it, it does feel like someone took a Nintendo franchise and put it on a PlayStation 4, which is something that makes me real uncomfortable. But at the same time, it's a super well-designed game, and it's using probably my favorite controller of the 3 current-gen controllers. So, I don't know. It was just weird.
It is damn good, that's true. I don't give that controller as much credit as it deserves. It's real good.
It feels nice. They fixed every single issue with the PlayStation 3 controller.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, Zach, you have a PlayStation 4. Are you interested in getting this game?
On sale, yeah. Absolutely.
It is currently on sale. Well, only 10% off, but it is $13.49 down from $14.99.
You misunderstand. I don't have PlayStation Plus. I know I should have PlayStation Plus, but I still don't have
Um,
PlayStation Plus. I don't know
do
why.
you still have a Vita? Do you still have a Vita?
Yeah, I love my Vita. What little
Do you
games
have a
I have for
PlayStation
it.
3? Do you have a
I do.
PlayStation 3?
I've got all of them, baby.
So you could be getting 6 games a month right now, but instead you choose to get 0.
Yeah,
All right.
basically.
All right.
I
All
am
right.
that guy.
You know what?
You
Keep
know
on
what?
keeping
Because
on.
because I consider those 6 games a month hard drive space that I don't necessarily have.
Fair enough.
And if I very fair enough, especially since I don't even think I remember the last PS Plus game I actually played. Like Rocket League looks cool, but my internet can't nearly handle Rocket League.
Oh,
At
really?
least it's not very stable. I'm surprised it can handle Splatoon as well as it can.
Oh,
Uh, but then, like, other than that, like, they're putting out like 3 or 4 indie games a month that I do not care about, and in most cases been out on PC for several months. Like, Hatoful Boyfriend came out, like, not PS Plus, but today for $10 on Vita and PS4. I bought that like a couple weeks ago on a Steam sale for like $2.50. And
nice.
like most of the PS Plus games that come out, I already have on Steam. So I just, you know what? Until they start putting more AAA PS4 or PS3 or PS Vita big exclusives on there, I can't blame you one bit for not getting PS Plus.
Yeah.
I think they need to step up their game on the quote unquote free games department.
I'd like to point out Geometry Wars 3 Vita is free this month for the Plus owners.
Yes, Geometry Wars 3 is free on PlayStation Plus this month. I haven't played it, but it is on Vita, so I don't have much of an excuse other than I guess I've never played Geometry Wars before, and I assumed I wouldn't like it.
I have Geometry Wars 2 on the 360. I didn't really get into it, but I can see how it's super addictive
Sure.
if you do. What?
Anywho, anything else?
Oh,
No?
no, I just have a cat on me.
Okay, cool. Anywho, moving on to the rest of the news this week. Mr. Satoru Iwata, his eulogy was released because the funeral for him was held last Friday in Japan. Thousands attending the funeral for the late president of Nintendo. It's Takeda is the last name. Donald, do you know the pronunciation for the Genyo?
Genyo Takeda, I believe.
Genyo Takeda. He delivered a eulogy pledging to carry on Iwata's works and paying tribute to his friend's life. Nintendo released an English translation of it. I'm going to read quite a bit of it, but I took out about 25 to 30% because it is very long. So I'm just gonna read this out. I'll be brisk. It's a very touching eulogy anyway, so hopefully everything will be okay. Anyways, Mr. Takeda said, as we gather here today for a joint funeral with Nintendo Limited and Mr. Iwata's family, I would like to share my heartfelt condolences. President Iwata, allow me to call you Iwata-san, just as I always used to. Iwata-san, you left us far too soon. Having just chaired our shareholders meeting the other day on June 26th, the news of your sudden death has left all employees overcome with a deep sorrow. The late Yamauchi-san passed the baton to you in naming you the president of Nintendo in 2002, and the 2 senior managing directors of the company, Shigeru Miyamoto and I, have been assisting and working alongside you. Being rather short-tempered myself, the thing I am most deeply struck by is you were a true leader in every sense of the word, overflowing with compassion for people. You always maintained a two-way dialogue, even with the next generation of employees, or with much younger members of the development and marketing teams, or with employees outside of Japan whose different customs and cultures can make communication challenging, sometimes even admitting your own mistakes to them. You demonstrated this through your belief that people could eventually come to understand one another, and that your strong conviction that the best way for us to grow is through patient communication, even if it took several times, a dozen times, or seemingly endless discussion. In the face of your unbelievable passing, it will surely take some time before we can emerge from this deep sorrow. That the seeds you have planted and the plants that have sprouted will put forth small flowers as they bring smiles to the faces of people around the world, blossom into a grand flower bigger than even you, our leader Iwata-san. Together with Miyamoto and others of our generation, we swear in our hearts that we will continue our efforts so that someday we can report and present to you the blossoming of these flowers. May you continuously watch over and guide us managers, our employees, and your family. On behalf of all of us, I would like to offer my heartfelt condolences and sincerest prayer. May you rest in peace, Iwata-san.
Very nice.
Very nice. Zach, you weren't on last week's episode where we spent an hour and a half going over the Iwata stuff. Do
Correct.
you have a specific Iwata memory you would like to share?
Yeah, I don't really have a specific Iwata memory. I think most of my thoughts on the man are from the Nintendo Directs and of course Iwata Asks, but more than Nintendo Directs, he always came across as just such a genuine man who was. I appreciate people who come across as themselves in any setting. And I feel like the man who we heard at E3, or the man we heard in Iwata Asks or Game XC, like you were getting the real Iwata. He was not putting on a personality, and he came across as good-humored and genuine and somebody who actually enjoyed what he was doing, and video games, of course, he said in his heart, I'm a gamer, and I believe that fully. And I appreciate that about him. We might have disagreed with some of his decisions. I would have liked to have seen his the life, what do they call it? The health initiative.
Quality of life.
The quality of life. I would have liked to have seen his thoughts on that before he died. I wonder if that was brought upon by his own health issues. But I appreciated the man. I liked him. I liked reading his Iwata Asks. I think his Game XC appearance is just phenomenally great.
Game Center CX?
Yeah, Game Center CX. And just every time there's an Iwata Asks where everybody's laughing, it just also makes me laugh. He's just seems like a good-humored, fun-loving guy. So that was a good show you guys did last week. And as I said on Twitter, having not seen James on a video or in person since 2009, that was a lot to take in.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I
did not recognize him at first until he started talking. I thought, that's James? Good Lord.
So, I mean, I'm not sure if this is exactly. Well, James has changed a lot in the last several years, and you can ask him about that.
Sure.
But
yeah,
last episode was especially interesting because I sort of rushed, not like because I didn't care, but rushed because I wanted to get something out within a couple days of it happening, and I wanted to do it right, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I knew James wanted to be involved, I knew Donald's down for anything, and I knew I would host it. That was all I knew going in. The thing that was beautiful about last week's episode is that I didn't anticipate where all three of us would come from on this, or what emotional connection we directly had to Iwata. James especially had a lot of really... Donald, of course, you too, but I was very struck specifically by how much he cared about Iwata in the same way we all do, and how that manifested during that episode. It is one of my... I love every episode of this show we do, but last episode, because of how much everyone brought to the table and how real it was, that is one of my favorite episodes. So if anyone's watching this and wants to watch one other Nintendo news report ever, I recommend the one from last week.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Any thoughts right now, Donald?
No, I mean, it was kind of frightening actually seeing Nintendo go so radio silent as they did almost all of last week. But knowing that the company was basically in warning at that point, I could certainly understand why they were barely communicative about anything. Like we didn't get the downloads press release until Friday after the funeral happened. So it's very weird seeing Nintendo go dark, and I'm hoping we never have to see that happen.
Yeah. One thing we mentioned in this show thread, the email thread for this week, that I thought would be smart to touch on was the fact that it was a super dark period the few days following Iwata's passing. Extremely dreary, just the entire tone of the industry, not even Nintendo, felt like it had been severely impacted by this, as it should be, as it of course would be. But it does feel like a week and a half later, not that he's left our thoughts, but that things are starting to return to some state of normalcy.
Sure.
And I think that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
That, like, we certainly gave him his time. We're going to be talking a lot about Iwata in the months and years to come because he's that important and that great of a person. But I am glad that, like, in the same way following his death there was a rainbow over Nintendo's office, I feel like the industry is slowly starting to see that rainbow and get back to at least something resembling business as usual.
Yeah.
You know. Have you seen anything? Do you feel the same, Donald? Because you were actually the one who brought this up. The whole is everything returning back to normal?
Yeah, it seemed like Nintendo putting out the Devil's Third announcement last night because they said they were going to give more details on that on the Saturday, basically that Iwata passed away. So I think that was enough of a signal to say, yeah, we're starting to get back into we're into the routine of just the day-to-day things going on in the game industry, and especially at Nintendo. I mean, it did kind of suck with Evo this past weekend. A lot of what I was interested in watching from that was seeing how Bill Trinan would perform in a Smash Brothers tournament, and unfortunately he had to pull out for obvious reasons. But I'm hoping that maybe Bill will get to enter again next year, and we'll see him up on stage on those grand final stages on the weekend of Evo.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see where Nintendo is a year from now, and where the individual Nintendo personalities like Miyamoto, Bill Trinan, Reggie are, and if anyone else is brought in the long term, like how the whole dynamic shifts in the long term. My guess is the Nintendo we loved before Iwata's death will still be there a year from now. It'll just be in a different form, and I think we're going to feel his presence for some time to come. Anywho, moving on. Nintendo, the June 2015 NPDs came out. Not much to say. 3DS, not doing great. Wii U is down from last year because it's the month out. Wii U's down, 3DS is down, but Splatoon has sold 290,000 copies in the US in June, and 455,000 from launch to July 4th, the end of the reporting period, which means that the contest we ran about a month or two ago, right before E3, right on this show, we tasked everyone in the comment sections to guess how much Splatoon was going to sell through June. Congrats at Bam Bam Ricky on Twitter. You won Neil's Splatoon Girl Amiibo. If you haven't gotten my contact yet and you see this, please contact me at Kulafia on Twitter. I would like to find some way to talk to you. Okay, I'm gonna try contacting you one more time, Bam Bam Ricky. But just please respond. Please respond.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Go
ahead.
And no big surprise that the Wii U is down year over year because last June was their biggest month ever for the system that didn't involve a holiday on the back of Mario Kart 8. So they're down in this year, but hopefully Splatoon has given somewhat of a boost to the numbers.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that Splatoon is doing very well. It's very nice to see a new internal franchise that Nintendo puts a lot of weight behind and then gets a lot of success as a result. And not only that, but completely deserves it because of how good of a game it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it seems like Splatoon is kind of like a nice story with, I guess the first chapter has a happy ending. We'll see where the series picks up from here. I've actually thought a lot about where Splatoon 2 could go. I feel like an interesting idea. If they want to double down on the single player for whatever reason, I don't know why they would, but if they wanted to, I feel like the Plaza and Copolis like sets up a lot of potential for a Splatoon 2 that's open world. I don't know how they would do it necessarily, but I was looking around in Copolis. I saw like the train in the background in the back. I saw the city horizon. I saw all these cool-looking stores and like buildings that we couldn't enter. And I thought, you know what? An open-world Splatoon 2 with interiors and stuff could be a real wild game. So, there you go. There's my speculation for Splatoon 2, I suppose.
Or I guess we call it
Anyways,
Splatoon.
Stop that.
Splatoon.
I didn't catch that when you said it. But now I'm
Anyways,
ashamed.
it's really hot. I need to end this show. So
It's hot?
let's move on. Yeah, I had to turn off my fan for this show. It's probably 85, 86 degrees in here, if not
Dude,
9.
it's 58. Come to Alaska, man.
I would love to come to Alaska specifically for tonight and then never again.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
Anyways, we have one last story. It's one of my favorites, though it's not necessarily major enough yet to put in the front of the show. There was big Pokemon news, or at least the inklings and beginnings of huge new Pokemon news that not a lot of places picked up. Specifically our own. We're still in general rumor phase, but like, if there is a Pokemon Z, we have seen the first inklings of what that will be. So, okay, let me back up. The latest Pokemon movie, Hoopa and the Clash of Ages, opened in Japan this past week. And what they do in Pokemon movies, they do one of these every year now. I don't know how many years they've been doing it every year, but that's an annual thing. At the end of every Pokemon movie, they show a trailer for the next Pokemon movie. So, Hoopa and the Clash of Ages opened. After it finished, it showed a trailer for 2016's Pokemon movie. What it showed was this very, very brief teaser that shows this weird-looking new Pokemon thing that's kind of like a small blob, has 2 eyes, it's bright green, it has a red stomach, and it looks like it's either a brand new Pokemon or a new sub-form or form or part of Zygarde, which is the third major legendary from the XY trio, like how there was Xerneas, Yveltal, and now Zygarde. I'm going to call him Zygarde. And then it also showed something that was revealed in CoroCoro magazine last week, which is that there's clearly a new Zygarde form coming. They haven't necessarily revealed it as the new Zygarde form, but they revealed shadows, they showed some green pattern markings. We are getting dramatically close to the reveal of whatever the next X and Y game is. And I think it's going to be a Z-type game.
Yeah.
What say you?
Well, the blob thing that came out, it hasn't been enough to report on just because we know just that it exists. That's literally all the news we have. But I mean, it wouldn't be the first time they've gone that far ahead with teaming something that could be a brand new Pokemon, because they don't bring out brand new species in the middle of a generation. So this is probably something that may be something for Generation 7 on probably the next handheld. And they've teased that far ahead before with things like Munchlax and Lucario showing up like a full year to 2 years before their actual games came out. Now
Munchlax is crazy, and then go ahead. I was just thinking back to Togepi from the original anime, and then Ho-Oh from the very first episode of the anime.
Yeah. Or even Bonsly showing up, I think, in XD like a full year and a half before that came out. But the Z-Guard form, we kind of suspected that because there are some moves in the data for X and Y as well as Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire that don't have anybody that learns them. They seem to counter perfectly Xerneas and Iwata, who Z-Guard would be weak to in both cases. Like, one's a ground move that hits flying types. So we know that's coming, and I think the date to watch for that, if we don't see an announcement in Koro next month, is August 21st. And actually, it's really close to you, Alex, because it's the World Championships in Boston.
The World Championships is happening. Do you know how, this is something I just thought of this moment, but do you know how easy it would be for me to get into that?
I don't, as far as a spectator, probably not that hard.
Okay. And it's the World Championships for, like, all the world, right?
Yeah, like, you're going to have players from all over the world there for both the trading card game and the video game.
Okay, so, I gotta figure some stuff out then. That's really cool. I actually just remembered that the World Championships were actually in Boston. That's so cool. Yeah. Okay. That's all. That sounds good. My guess is though that this is part of a Z-Guard form because the coloration sounds very similar. The way they describe the Pokemon and the way the Pokemon's been drawn, you should go on Cerebi.net, by the way, to see all this stuff, because Cerebi always has the Pokemon stuff locked down. It looks like almost too insignificant to be like the first revealed big Pokemon. I could be wrong. My guess is that little blob thing is like a node, like a piece of the new Z-Guard form that like sort of acts as its eyes, because the way Z-Guard works is that it's like it watches over the environment, is the way I understand it. Like, it makes sure like nature's in order and all that stuff. And my guess is these little things are kind of like nodes that he sends off to sort of keep nature in check. So I bet what's going to happen in the movie is Ash is going to meet one of these things, and then Team Rocket's going to do some bad shit, and then that's eventually going to lead back to Z-Guard. That's my official prediction on how this goes down. Alternatively, I see a cool, crazy idea if they don't want to go the Pokemon Z route and they want to do something else. What if this was a form of Z-Guard, and the two versions of Z, whether it be XZ, YZ, or whatever, was this blob thing on the cover as like the cute little mascot-y thing, and then the cool, crazy, like, serpentine humanoid form of Z-Guard that they're clearly hinting at on like two different covers of the game. So that's another possibility I see. Gen 7 could happen, but because it seems like these two things have similar coloration, I'm skewing towards they're both part of the same thing.
Yeah. Although watch it be like a shiny form of Goomy or something.
No. It will not be. It will not be Goomy. It'll not be Slugma. It won't be any of that crap. Because one of the funny things that happened on Cerebi when people who saw the premiere were drawing like sketches for what this Pokemon could be, one of the people actually drew a comic of the audience reaction, and like it seems a little bit like an E3 presentation the way they laid it out, where like it's just these excited Pokemon fans getting ready to see this thing, and then out pops this new freaking Pokemon, and then it just shows the audience going completely wild, which I can imagine as what would happen if you expected a fun new trailer for the next Pokemon movie, maybe a Z-Guard, and see something that looks like no Pokemon we have ever seen before. And you know what? This is exciting. because it was 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago, before X and Y, that Pokemon Black and White came out, and now it's 3 years after that. Next year, maybe Gen 7 could happen next year. It wouldn't be that too insane. I think it's too early, and I would rather they spent more time developing a really good 7th generation rather than making another repeat of X and Y's rushed mistakes. But there is something exciting about new Pokemon. The new Pokemon cycle is probably one of my favorite cycles and favorite things about Pokemon in general. I think that's a show. I think that's our Nintendo News report.
I think Zach's dead.
I'm good. I'm fine. Okay. Just questing. It's good.
Just questing. Are you entering Odysseying right now?
I can't say.
Oh, you can't.
No.
Oh, you could be playing the original Etrian Odyssey on
that's
the Nintendo.
What I'm doing.
Or you could be playing the recently released Etrian Mystery Dungeon.
Or the demo.
Yeah. How far are you in that demo, Zach?
Man, I have beat that demo. I am replaying the demo.
Hey, you got 30 uses, might as well make use of it.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Okay, you chuckleheads. That's Nintendo News Report. Thank you so much for watching. Zach can be found at ZMiller1902, ZMILLER, the number 1902, as he just pointed at. Thank you for joining me, Zach. And there we go. I really just wanted to see your. Actually, I'm just gonna do this. Okay. Now they can see you. That's where Zach is. You can find Donald on Twitter at DonaldMick, at DonaldMick. That's Donald Mick. Or Nintendo Free Radio, that happens often, at NFR Podcast.
Or
I am at oh my goodness, I almost forgot. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, Donald. Let me put the camera back on you. Donald was on Player One Podcast this past week. Oh my goodness,
good congratulations.
Job,
Donald. Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah, they had to have somebody from Halifax on the show. What can I say?
That's true, they did, yeah.
Oh, you can listen to the latest episode of Player One Podcast featuring our very own Nintendo News Report and that other show's very own Donald. And I am on Twitter at CULAFIA. That is Calafia. Thank you so much. See you next week. Hopefully in a regular time slot, I hope. All right. You know what? Zach, do you want to Nintendo Direct us out this week?
Thank you for watching.